shop means we won't get the dyes this morning.
All right, George, if you can't, you can't. But get it ready by this afternoon.
We ought to be able to by then.
You've got to.
All right.
Yes?
Miss Clark is still waiting, Mr. Raines.
Who's she?
The architect about the new first aid room, sir.
All right, send her in. And don't forget, George, ready by this afternoon.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Where'd you get your figures about the space for the first aid room?
Factories Act.
I need that space for production. If your figures are correct,
They
it means
are.
that
Your present first aid room just isn't big enough. Even after these alterations, it will scarcely be adequate.
For your information, our factory has the lowest accident rate of any in the country. I suppose it's asking too much for you to take that into account.
It isn't a question of my taking anything into account. Those figures are based on the cubic space of the plant, the number of people you
Yes, they're all
employ.
extremely interesting, but it's obvious you've never had to keep up a production quota.
On the contrary, our firm has the unique reputation of never...
Yeah?
Miss Pamela Siddell on the phone, Mr. Raines.
All right. Excuse me. Oh, cigarette?
Thank you, no.
Pamela? Hello, darling. Yeah, I'll try and come round after the show. Oh, by the way, thank you for sending the poster. Yes, it's lovely. It's hanging in the place of honor. All right, I'll try. Bye-bye. Well, if these are government requirements, I'll have to accept them, I suppose. Mind you, I still think it's a shocking waste of valuable space.
And I still think it's inadequate.
When will the final plans be ready?
I'd make you have them by Monday.
Monday. Day after Boxing Day?
Are you closing down for Christmas? We're not. What time on Monday would be convenient for you?
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock. Good morning.
Miss Clark, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
You look pretty busy.
Yes, it's the Raines factory. I promised the final draft by Monday.
That'll mean you're working over Christmas.
I know. But that Raines man looked at me as if he thought a woman's place was the home. I wanted to show him.
You've always been impetuous, like your father. I suppose I'd better get off to that Croydon job. See you tonight for dinner?
I'm afraid not. I'll be working late on this.
Well, happy Christmas, my dear.
Happy Christmas, Uncle Bob.
Happy Christmas, too.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Answer that, will you, Jimmy?
Hello, Hargreaves and Clark. It's Sir Marshall Frayne.
Oh, here, give it to me. Hello? Yes, Sir Marshall.
I've been looking at your plans for the proposed alterations. You will excuse me, won't you? And I wonder if you'd care to come along to discuss them. I've had a wonderful idea.
I'm afraid I'm terribly busy just at the moment. You won't be back till after Christmas? Then I'd better... How about right away?
A moment. Yes. Yes, I could fit you in between two patients.
All right, then I'll be there in 15 minutes. All right, goodbye. Jimmy, call me a taxi, will you?
Yes, Miss Clark.
Taxi! Taxi!
Phone for an ambulance, quickly. Jimmy! Can't let him lie here and get pneumonia. Give me a hand, someone will take him inside.
Outside 28 Branston Square. Thank you.
The ambulance is on the way.
Thank you.
No, there's nothing you can do.
Are you a relation?
No, but I...
Oh. Well, we'll let you know how he is if you care to wait.
Miss Clark, Sir Marshal.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry I'm late, Sir Marshal. An accident.
Were you hurt?
Oh, no, not me. Young Jimmy in my office, you know. I sent him for a taxi, and the next thing I knew, there was a scream of brakes, and he was under its wheels. We took him to Queen Eleanor's Hospital.
Oh, well, he'd be well looked after there. It's a fine hospital. Very well run. I'm on the staff.
Are you?
Now, about these plans of yours. I'm afraid I've changed my mind again about the position of the door. I've sketched in my alternative and dictated a few notes. You see what I mean? I hope you'll agree with me.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sure I shall. I'll take it away and have a look at it.
Well, that's very kind of you. I know you're just as busy as I am, and I very much appreciate your coming here. And if there's anything I can do for you...
You can.
What?
You do something for me.
By all means.
Give me a letter of introduction to the matron of Queen Eleanor's.
Oh, you won't get any business there. Hospitals haven't any money to spare these days.
I want to be a nurse.
A nurse? My dear girl, with your job?
Oh, I only went into the firm to please my father.
What?
You know, the family business, there being no son to carry on. I took it on out of a sense of duty. But it's never been what I really wanted to do, and it's getting me down. I'm getting bad-tempered.
I don't believe it.
Oh, yes, I've got a temper, and I can lose it. But this afternoon, in the ambulance watching that nurse, so calm, so efficient, so quietly confident of herself, I realized Jimmy probably owed his life to the few minutes he spent in her care. I asked her if there was anything I could do to help. And without even looking at me, she said, "No, there's nothing you can do." And then in the hospital, the same air of calm efficiency, the same unhurried speed with which they did everything. I was told to wait with a lot of other people. All sorts of people, all waiting. Old men, young mothers with babies. I sat down and waited too, till I saw the last patient go for treatment and leave. I thought a lot while I sat there, waiting. At last a nurse came to me.
How is he? Badly injured, I'm afraid. He's just left the operating theatre and been admitted to Granville Barlow ward. The surgeons say he has a chance.
Can I do anything?
No. There's nothing you can do.
No, there's nothing you can do. I keep on hearing those words, Sir Marshal. I shall go on hearing them until they're not true.
Do you realize what's involved? The training's tough. Appallingly tough. All sorts of rules and regulations and whatnot. Discipline that a girl in your position simply isn't used to.
Sir Marshal, it isn't easy to put into words what I feel. It's something you know. I've known for a long time there was something wrong. I didn't know what it was. Now I do. And I know what I want to do about it.
It's rather like joining the army. Only a hospital's always at war against disease and accident. It's like training to be a commando. There simply isn't room for anyone who can't take it. And when you're in the uniform, my girl, everyone expects everything of you. And in order to give them what they expect, like any soldier, you've got to be ready for any sacrifice. Do you want that life?
I want that letter of introduction.
I operate at the hospital on Thursday. I'll have a word with matron.
I've an appointment with matron.
First left, second door left.
Thank you so much.
Come in.
Good morning. I'm Hilary Clark. You were expecting me?
Yes, good morning. Won't you sit down?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I see by your papers you're an architect. What made you want to take up nursing?
Well, it's rather hard to explain, but I know I do.
You're not just thinking of it as a war job.
Oh, no. It's to be permanent.
You want to do the full training?
Definitely.
I see you're rather older than the average student nurse. You may not find it easy to start a new profession.
I'll risk that.
Have you ever suffered from rheumatism?
No, never.
Sore throats?
No.
I see you'd like to start at once.
Oh, yes, please.
Very well, you may come on the 1st of the month.
Thank you, matron.
Whether or not you make a good nurse depends entirely on yourself.
I'll do my best.
I'm sure you will. Goodbye.
Goodbye, matron.
By all means. Hold on, please.
Miss Clark, sister.
Oh, good afternoon, Miss Clark.
Good afternoon.
Number 34.
Yes, sister.
What were you saying? Not before Friday. Okay. Goodbye.
What are those stripes for?
You get one of those after you've been here a year. That is, if you pass your preliminary state exam. A year later, you get another one, and so on, till you get 3 stripes. So you see, they're for different degrees of seniority.
Who are the nurses in frilly caps?
Nurses? They're sisters.
And the ones with lace on?
Staff nurses.
You can have a cap like that one day, but it means years of hard work.
Who is she? Staff nurse Christine Morrison.
Now, here's the new rota as from tomorrow. Nurse Lacey, Grace Annis Frock Ward, Women's Surgical Day Duty.
Thank you, sister.
Nurse Smith, to Martin Callahan Ward, Children's Medical Night Duty.
Thank you.
Nurse Clark, to Herbert Waterlow Ward, Men's Surgical Day Duty.
Thank you, sister.
Nurse Watkins, Maternity Ward, Night Duty.
Thank you, sister.
I don't think taking you off Men's Surgical, you. What we've received, may the Lord make us truly thankful.
We're both in the same ward.
Oh, I'm glad.
Better get a good night's sleep. You'll need it.
Six o'clock, nurse. Thank you. 6 o'clock, nurse.
If you want to know where anything is, ask the patients. They always know everything. Just hang it in there. Now, let me take a look at you before you meet Sister Herbert Waterlow.
Sister Herbert?
Yes, the sisters are always known by the names of their wards.
Is Sister Herbert Waterlow very...
Very.
Report, sister.
Thank you, nurse. Go and have your supper now.
Good morning, sister.
Good morning.
I brought along the new nurse, Nurse Clark.
Thank goodness for that. We're short enough of them. Good morning, Nurse Clark.
Good morning.
Is this your first day in hospital?
Yes, it is.
I am usually addressed as sister.
Yes, sister.
I hope you'll be very happy here.
I'm sure I shall, sister.
Yes, you will if you do your work well. Take off your cuffs and Nurse Morris will tell you what to do. Good morning, Mr. Harvey.
Good morning, sister. Full of sunshine as usual.
Good morning, Mr. Trevor.
Good morning, sister. Uh-huh. And how's our youngster this morning, eh?
Oh, there's not much the matter with me, Doctor. I think I'm a bit of a fraud.
I know you are.
Pop the cups in the cupboard. Your first job is to change the water for the flowers in the kitchen. Answer the phone, will you?
Hello? Yes?
Well, Simmons, and how are you feeling?
My duodenum's been having a set to with me intestinal tractor.
Is that so? Man, I'm thinking maybe you'd be better off without it. Get him ready for a barium X-ray, will you, sister?
Operation, eh? Here, I'd like that. Here, could I have a local anaesthetic so as I could watch?
You may not need the operation, Siddons. We'll try and mend you without one, you know. Good morning.
And good morning, Mr. Harvey.
Uh-huh. You're sure you haven't been eating any sweets lately?
Of course I haven't.
Excuse me, Mr. Harvey.
Uh-huh.
You're wanted in Grace Annis Brock ward.
Mrs. Kelly's kidneys, I'll bet you. Carry on, will you, Trevor? You know where I am if you want me.
Yes, sir.
Nurse! Nurse!
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not used to being called nurse.
You're not allowed to address the medical staff direct, and without your cuffs on.
How are you supposed to deliver a message if you can't speak to a doctor?
You give it to someone senior who tells the staff nurse, who tells sister, who tells the doctor.
At that time, the patient may be dead. Sister Catford is furious.
She's probably in love with Mr. Harvey. Half the sisters in the hospital are. And you know, women in authority.
But you're not like that.
Perhaps that's why I'm not a woman in authority.
Nurse! Nurse! My bleeding nose.
Bring me a bowl of water from the table.
Oh.
There, there. That's it. Back, right back.
You wouldn't drown myself.
Bring me some ice from the fridge in the kitchen.
You mustn't rush about like this. A nurse may only run in the case of fire or hemorrhage.
But it is hemorrhage. Nurse Morris asked me to get some ice.
Take some ice to Nurse Morris at once.
Yes, sister.
I want to talk to you. Close the door. I don't think you realize the necessity for discipline in the hospital. Nurses have to be disciplined women with a calm and balanced manner. This has a good psychological effect on the patient. It gives them confidence. Remember that.
Yes, sister.
Now take that to Sister Annis Brock. She's waiting for it. And mind you wear your cuffs. Nurse Clark, on no account is Siddons or the diabetic to have this food. They require special diets. Their charts are on the cupboard. Look at them. You're doing them tonight with Nurse Morris. And why aren't you wearing your cuffs? Go and put them on at once. Quite promising when she's had some discipline. Don't tell her I said so.
Now I'll show you how to make an envelope corner. There. Now try it. Oh, but you mustn't make beds with your cuffs on.
Nurse, nurse. One of them's for me.
Are you a diabetic?
Now, do I look like a diabetic? Give me mine, nurse. The other one's over there.
You've got a sweet feed.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have, and I wouldn't put it past you to drink it neither. You ain't got no medical conscience.
What's all this noise about?
Nothing, sister.
What are you drinking? You should never have had this.
Well, I didn't want to be difficult, sister, when the new nurse gave me the wrong mug. You dirty squad. What do you want to go and give it away like that before she's on it?
Nurse Clark.
Oh, hello. How do you feel after your first day?
Oh, I'm dead beat. And I've done everything wrong today. I'm afraid I'll never make a nurse.
Do you still want to?
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, yes, I'm not quitting.
That's good. But you mustn't break hospital rules.
I shouldn't think there's a rule left for me to break. I've had my cuffs on when they should have been off, and then they were off when they should have been on. I ran in the corridor. I talked to a doctor. I was late for a lecture. Oh, and I broke a plate.
You'll have to pay for it, you know.
Oh, I signed for it. Oh, and then I was told off by the fracture ward sister.
What were you doing in the fracture ward?
I went to see a boy I knew who'd had an accident. And then I gave a diabetic a gastric feed. I shouldn't think there's a rule left for me to break.
Oh, yes, there is. You've just broken one. Nurses may not absent themselves from meals without permission on any pretext whatever.
I didn't want any supper.
But you've got to eat when you're working. Look, I brought something for you. It's not much, but...
Why, it's wedding cake.
Yes, it's my brother's.
Oh, but you mustn't give it to me.
No,
I couldn't eat it anyway.
Well, put it under your pillow for luck.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, you've got your first day over, and that's something.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Sleep well.
Second-year nurses are to attend my lecture on advanced hygiene at 9:15 tomorrow morning. First-year student nurses, elementary anatomy, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Come along, hurry up, you're late for my lecture.
Oh, I'm off duty, sister. I'm just going to lie down.
Indeed, you're not.
I have to attend lectures when I'm off duty.
Well, certainly. When else? And you should have taken off your apron. No, not here. We can't have nurses undressing in the corridor. Come along, come along. Good afternoon, nurses. Shh. Now, you'll remember that last week I was telling you about the vertebral column. This week, I'm going to tell you something about the skull. You must understand that the skull is not a single, hollow, osseous structure. The skull proper, independent of the lower jawbone or maxilla. Nurse Clark.
Yes, sister.
Thank you. Nurse Clark, as you were not prepared to attend my lecture, I presume you're acquainted with the names of the human bones.
Yes, sister, I am.
What's this?
Sternum.
This?
The scapula.
This?
The patella.
And this?
Radius, or... Oh, no, I can't see what you're touching.
Shh! Quiet, everybody, please. You may sit down, nurse, and don't let me hear your voice again until you're spoken to.
You have to learn these splints, although they're seldom used nowadays, having been superseded by plaster of Paris. Now this is a Carr's splint, used for collicis fracture.
And in the case of shock, you give a transfusion of plasma or serum. This replenishes that part of the blood which disappears into the tissues and upsets the whole circulation. And this is the bottle of serum that hangs on a stand and runs through an apparatus into the patient's vein. Its speed is regulated by a drip.
Now, remember, the life of a patient is in the surgeon's hands. A solemn thought. But mind you, the care of the patient, aye, maybe the recovery of the patient, is in your hand.
time I got Siddons ready for his operation. Carry on with dressings. You help Nurse Lloyd.
Yes, nurse. I wish I could be sent to theatre with a patient.
You will be when you've had more experience. And you've no next of kin?
Can't say I have, as far as I know. I did have a brother once, but it was a long time ago.
Sign this, Mr. Siddons, please.
I know. To relieve the hospital of all blame if I should die.
I don't believe in cutting up people with knives. Never did.
Yeah, you ain't got no medical conscience. What they're going to do to me is one of the marvels of the age.
He'll be a new man.
And if I'm not, I bequeath my body to the hospital for the purposes of research.
What would they want your body for? Salvage?
We're not going to have any bodies, are we, Mr. Siddons? Now get back to your bed. You'll be seeing him again in a couple of hours.
Yeah, in the mortuary.
I'll see you there first.
Oh, cheerio.
I suppose I couldn't have one peep at them barium x-rays, could I, Mr. Harvey, since I've got an 8-hour delay in my stomach? I'd love to have traced it.
Nathan, old chap, you're not going to mind this a bit.
Here, Mr. Trevor, I don't want to be anaesthetised out here. I've been looking forward to seeing the slaughterhouse.
Now, just take a deep breath.
Yeah, why couldn't I have a look at them barium x-rays?
Just breathe in.
Look, I got an 8-hour delay in my stomach. Surely
Just
I can have a
breathe
check
in.
out my own delay.
Yeah, what are you giving me? Gas? Ether?
Just a deep breath.
Herbert Waterlow ward. Would Nurse Clark do, matron? I think she'd be quite capable. Thank you, matron.
Get the nurse to meet me at the main entrance. I'm going to pick up my bag and get some serum.
Nurse Clark, you're to get your coat and meet Dr. Barrett at the main entrance at once.
Yes, nurse. What for?
You're going to a factory to help with a transfusion. It will all add to your experience.
Oh, good. He's reacting well.
I hope he's going to be all right. Mr. Raines. I'm afraid he's worse than we thought he was. Oh, he didn't seem too bad when I left him. All right, I'll come at once. The doctor's working on him now. Well, Frank, how are you feeling? Oh, are you the doctor?
Yes, why not?
Oh, no reason. How is he? What's wrong?
It's traumatic shock. We're looking after him.
Well, anything I can do for you, nurse?
No, thank you, Mr. Raines.
Why, hello. Been called up?
All right, boys, you can take him now.
I'm very grateful, Doctor. Is there anything I can get you? Some coffee?
No, there isn't time. I'm going with him in the ambulance to keep on with the transfusion. Get ready as quickly as you can, nurse.
Yes, Dr. Barrett.
Don't be too long, Frank. I need you badly.
Excuse me?
Oh. And you get that chap back as quickly as you can. He's a key man. I can't spare him.
He's a very sick man.
Yes, I know, but we have government contracts to fulfill.
That's your business. Getting him well again's ours.
Oh. Well, what do you think of our first aid room now it's finished?
Oh, it's fine. What there is of it.
Say, why did you chuck up such a good job?
I've got a better job.
You like your new work, huh?
Oh, very much, thank you.
I still don't understand. Weren't you a junior partner? Very successful?
Success isn't everything.
No.
I mustn't keep Dr. Barrett waiting.
Oh. Well, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Very nice to have seen you again.
Thank you.
Larry?
Hmm? Hello, Pam.
Who is she?
Well, the last time I saw that nurse, she was an architect.
Come on. I've been watching her, Larry. I found her very interesting.
Oh. I'm sorry I had to walk out on your concert, Pam, but this accident, you know how things are these days. Machinery's overworked.
Always machinery.
Honestly, I did want to hear you play. Especially that thing I liked.
You did?
Hmm?
I just played that thing you liked, Larry.
Oh. Well, the first time I heard you play it was coming over on that boat from Australia. A bit highbrow, but I liked it. Come in.
Oh, excuse me, Governor, the engineers are here. Will you come now, sir?
I'll be with you in a moment. Milton can't repair that machine. We're sunk.
Are we?
Hmm? Oh, I'm sorry, Pam. What were you saying?
I wasn't saying much. I was thinking.
Oh, excuse me. Hello?
McNeil's are endorsing their contract, sir.
All right.
You know, you've changed a lot lately, Larry.
The better, I hope.
No, you've become too important. It wasn't like that when we first met. We had a lot of fun then, remember?
Not much chance of having fun now. Don't you realize that there's a... All right, I didn't say it. Well, I suppose I have changed. You better stop me before I get any worse.
I'd like to. We've drifted so far apart lately. I think I might have helped you. You must be very lonely, Larry.
Yes?
George here, Governor. Can you come over right away? No, we're still having trouble with that machine. The engineer's here now.
All right, I'll be right there. How are you saying that about my being lonely? I'd be the last to admit it. Well, I suppose a man does need someone. In fact, I've always had an idea in my mind. Kind of picture.
Of machinery, Larry?
You don't like machinery. You wait. I'll show you a machine that's a work of art.
Have you seen the alterations on these new blueprints?
Well, you won't find the trouble, not the real trouble, unless you shut down. Well, that means stopping production on the whole block. I can't help that. You've had one accident already.
Here, dinner. We're thinking about the same thing. Marriage. Well, I told you I'd always been looking for someone.
Look out, Governor!
Yes, fractured ribs. By his breathing, he's probably punctured the lung. I don't like it. I think it's also concussion. When Sir Marshall arrives, I'll get him to look at this case.
Yes, Mr. Trevor.
The next patient I want you to see is just here.
Thank you. Another casualty in the factory?
Yes, Pamela Siddell, violinist.
Oh, really? Good evening. Bad luck, bad luck.
Yes, isn't it? I heard her play the Brahms concerto last month.
Well, if we're going to save these hands of hers, we'll just have to operate at once.
What are you doing here?
Don't you remember? I'm a nurse.
You're not a nurse. I'm glad you've come at last. I've been looking for you. I've always been looking for you.
Yes?
He regained consciousness, but only for a moment.
Was he mentally alert? Did he speak?
Yes, but he didn't make sense.
Good evening, sister.
Good evening, sir.
Evening, nurse.
Good evening, Sir Marshal.
Oh, it's you.
Yes, it's me.
How are you getting on?
All right. I hope.
Well, let's have a look at him.
Nurse reported that he regained consciousness for a few moments.
To what extent?
Tell Sir Marshal.
He spoke, but he was not coherent.
I think you're right. Fractured rib and a punctured lung. Have him x-rayed at once and sent to the theatre.
Yes, sir.
He's pretty bad, isn't he?
He has a chance, if we're in time.
Now, nurse, take the patient up to theatre as soon as he's ready. You will be in charge.
Me? Me?
Show me the x-ray plates.
Nothing surgical there. He'll need watching. He's showing signs of a pretty bad concussion.
Ah, there are the fractured ribs that have penetrated the lung.
Help from a boy this morning.
How is he?
Oh, great. Just got his wings.
Is this your first operation, nurse?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's you again. Watch yourself. It isn't a pretty sight. Table up a bit. Higher. Higher. I must have a high table. That'll do. Lights. Yes?
I hear you're exploring this man's chest, sir.
Yes. Thoracotomy.
May I watch?
Of course.
What's that hissing?
It's the sterilizer, sir.
Turn it off, please.
Yes, sir.
You'll never stick it out.
Won't I?
Stand by the emergency lights. Severe laceration.
It's rather tricky business.
Out you go, quick.
I'm closing now.
Yes. Yes, he's all right.
Stitches, please.
Nurse, what did they give him? Gas he thought was on the foot.
That's none of your business.
I'd want to know if he had the same as me.
Well, why don't you ask him?
Raiders overhead. Yes. I suppose we daren't move Siddons or Old Carter or any of the factory casualties.
No, I'm afraid not.
I'd like to wring that man's neck.
He can't be moved. One of you nurses will have to stay with him.
May I stay, sister?
Yes.
Thank you, sister.
The day staff will have to remain on. When he comes round, don't let him talk, especially about the accident. Mr. Harvey's express orders.
Yes, sister, I understand.
Good.
Come on, out you get. You're going down to the shelter. Help him, nurse.
Going down the shoulder. Windy.
Oh, it's going to take the weight off your feet. I just don't seem to be able to sustain me any longer. Then I wouldn't like to be in your shoes, sister. But perhaps I would, after all.
You wait until you're my age.
Oh, that's better. I always swear by him and be.
Fermentation put on at 4 o'clock.
Yes, sister, it's still 4 hourly.
I don't think I shall be with you all much longer. I'm going to do private work. Sit down more often.
Where have you been?
I've been right here.
I thought you'd left me. But I... Shh. You mustn't leave me.
No, of course not.
You are a nurse. What's all that noise?
It's nothing.
Oh.
You mustn't try to.
Well, talk to me. I love the sound of your voice. Go on. Talk to me.
You go to sleep.
Why can't I remember your name?
It's Hillary.
Oh, yes, of course. I love you, Hillary.
Pardon me, old cock, but was your journey really necessary?
Have some beer.
Daren't, I should fall asleep with my head in matron's lap.
Then don't have any beer. Go to do a movie on Saturday?
Ask me when I wake up. Why, I'd simply love to.
Hello.
Hello.
Have some beer.
What a wonderful idea.
Deserted your patient?
Only for a minute.
He's going to be all right, isn't he?
Oh, Sir Marshall thinks so. Given good nursing.
You know, yesterday rather, is the first time I've been treated like a responsible person.
I thought Mr. Harvey sent you to sick bay, sister. Weren't you injured by blast?
It was nothing, matron, and there's so much to be done.
What were you doing outside the hospital, anyway?
There were some casualties to bring in.
I think you should go off now.
Thank you, matron. I will later when the nurses can.
Oh, I should like to say a few words to the nurses.
Yes.
Nurse. You all look very untidy and dishevelled. That's only to be expected. You've done very well. I'm sorry to say 3 nurses have been injured in tonight's raid.
Who were they, matron?
Nurse Ellen Curtis, Nurse Mary Palmer, and Staff Nurse Elliot. There have been no casualties among the patients. For that we must be thankful. You all look very tired. Let them off as soon as you can, sister.
You two can go now.
Won't you change your mind?
Yes, I think I will.
Miss Clark. Nurse Lloyd. Mr. Trevor.
It's only a beer, matron. A glass can't do any harm.
I'm afraid your ideas of harm are more elastic than mine, Mr. Trevor. Nurse Lloyd, Nurse Clark, I should like to see you in my office.
Are you asleep? Or just dreaming? I was just wondering if when I'm matron, I'll ever talk to anyone as matrons just talk to us.
What a night. Your nursing staff did you credit, matron.
Thank you.
By the way, how's my protégé getting on?
I regret to say, Sir Marshal, I found her this morning drinking beer with Mr. Trevor.
Lucky lassie. I wish she'd asked me to share it.
She's been reprimanded. And I hope you, Mr. Harvey, will have something to say to Mr. Trevor.
Then you hope in vain.
You'll forgive me, matron, but I think you'd have a better understanding with your nurses if you got them to like you more.
My object, Sir Marshal, is to preserve discipline, not to try to make myself popular.
Well, so long, friend. Bless you.
Thanks. Good day to you. Have you forgotten what it's like to be young? Could this be you as a probationer, matron? Sprawling on a haystack with a young man. You had a pretty soft smile then. That's a fine young fellow you're cuddling up to. Good. It's me.
Got a lecture this morning?
Uh-huh.
When I was a probationer, I never thought I'd pass my preliminary exam, but I did somehow. I'll not forget the day I got my first strike.
It was a wonderful moment.
I'll bet it was. When you were training, did you have anything else to think about?
Anything else?
Well, I mean, for instance, if you ever fall in love.
As you have?
As I have.
It's written all over your face.
What nonsense.
It's all right, all right. Same thing happened to me, but I put it aside. You see, I was quite determined to be a nurse, and a good nurse.
So am I. Of course, men say strange things when they've been ill, especially if their nurses have been sympathetic.
Aye, they do.
What you're really saying is if you want to be a good nurse, you've got to think only of nursing.
Exactly.
Then we agree.
Yes, I suppose we do. But lately I've been thinking of other things. Time comes when either you have to become, well, like matron. Just remember you're a woman and forget you've ever been a nurse.
Never heard you talk like this before.
Well, it's all your fault. Coming in here looking so dewy-eyed.
Oh, me?
Made me feel so envious. Began to think I was missing something. Began to wonder if I'd been wrong.
Go on.
Well, you see, there is a man I've known for years, but I don't know how I'd feel about leaving here.
But why leave, Christine? Can't you be a nurse and be married?
There's no rule against it in this hospital, but it just wouldn't work out.
Why not?
Well, think for yourself. The hours, the responsibilities, so little time off. I tell you, it just wouldn't work out.
Well, I'm quite made up my mind to be an old maid. There's only one thing I'm sure of. This is my work.
Perhaps you're right. You know, hospitals is like being in the army. You should have heard our Sergeant Major in the last war. The way he used to talk to us young recruits would make your heart bleed. But after a while, you wouldn't have known us. We was men. This reminds me of the last war. I was in the South for a military hospital then. There was a nurse there.
Is there any time in your life when you haven't been in hospital?
Not much, thank heaven. Spent all my life in the army or in hospital. And been in all kinds of wards.
Except one.
What's that?
The maternity.
If you're awake, I'll take your temperature.
You must be tired.
Keep your mouth shut. I am very.
Why, it's always the same thing.
Don't chew it. What's always the same thing?
Well, even in my more hazy moments, I seem to have known you always. Why won't you tell me where we met?
It was a good book.
How should I know? And don't change the subject. Well, is it pleasant lying here watching you pop in and out of my front door? Gosh, you do work hard. Nurse! Work. When was I at work? Nurse!
All right, I'll be there in a minute.
That voice. I know that voice. It's George. George. I don't understand. George. He works at my factory. Factory. That's when I first met you. You came with some plans, you remember?
Yes, of course I remember.
Then you came to the factory again. And after you left, I remember I turned to... Oh, who was it I turned to? Shh. We were talking about marriage. Pamela. Pamela.
Nurse Clark. Nurse Clark?
Yes, sister.
Thank you, Susan.
Yes, nurse.
Sister Herbert Waterloo sent these, sister.
Thank you.
Haven't I seen you somewhere before? I know. It was at the factory. Oh, don't go.
All right, miss.
Have you seen Mr. Raines?
Why, yes, he's much better. You mustn't worry about him.
He hasn't forgotten me.
Of course not. He hasn't forgotten anything.
Well, then, will you?
That'll do, yes. And she's very ill indeed.
But is everything being done for her? I mean, you know, the best doctors and specialists.
Everything's being done the hospital can do.
Poor Pam. Well, it means we'll have to wait before we tell her about us.
Us? But there's nothing to tell.
What do you mean there's nothing to tell?
You're going to be married. She's very ill and she needs your help, your sympathy.
I'll see she gets better. She'll have everything money can buy.
Oh, that's not enough.
But Hillary...
Don't you understand she's in love with you?
You know who I'm in love with.
You're a very sick man. You don't know what you're saying.
Oh, I see. You think I'm still raving. Well, I'm not. I mean every word I've said.
We've been running away from reality. We both know what we've got to do.
Well, what have I got to do?
You must write her a letter, so that she'll know you've not forgotten her.
See. And you?
I want to be a nurse.
Is that all you want?
That's all.
All right. Lend me your pen, please.
How is she? Sister's just sent for Dr. Barrett. I've got a note for her. It's from Mr. Raines. You know you're absolutely forbidden to go into another ward without permission. Yes, I know, but give it her when she wakes up.
I am awake, nurse. Please read it to me.
I think you ought to read it yourself.
I can't. Please read it for me.
Pamela, my dear, you must have thought I'd forgotten you. It's true, I'd forgotten everything until today. Now I'm just beginning to remember things I did and said before the accident. I remember I asked you to marry me. Shh, yes, sister.
You wouldn't think that frail woman had such guts. But I'm afraid it's mental courage only. Did you want to speak to me, nurse?
No, thank you, sister.
Then what are you doing in this ward?
I came to see Nurse Watkins.
I'll speak to you later, nurse.
Yes, sister.
And so, if it can be arranged, I'd rather not have Nurse Clark in my ward, matron.
I quite appreciate that, sister. All right, I'll give her a trial elsewhere.
Thank you, matron. Mind you, she has the makings of a good nurse. But you do see that I can't...
You sent for me, matron?
Yes, I did. Sister has reported you. I should like an explanation.
I'm sorry, matron. I don't think I quite understand.
Don't you? Well, sister, perhaps you'd better repeat what you've just told me about this letter carrying.
Oh.
Yes.
Now I understand.
Good. In that case, there's nothing for me to say.
But surely I haven't done anything wrong. It seemed a perfectly right and natural thing to do.
You are quite aware that you are breaking hospital rules by carrying notes from one ward to another and going into wards that you had no permission to enter. Furthermore, you've upset a patient who is extremely ill.
I assure you...
All this is the result of identifying yourself with your patients. A good nurse must be impersonal. I'm going to transfer you. You will report for duty to Sister Theatre.
Matron has sent me to report for duty, sister.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm terribly short-staffed. Look, get this trolley ready for a transfusion as soon as you can, will you? And take it to the casualty ward. Nurse.
Merry Christmas, sister.
Oh, Mr. Harvey, I'm so sorry. And a Merry Christmas to you, sir.
I was looking for some cotton wool.
Oh, yes. Nurse Clark, some cotton wool.
Hello, Nurse Clark. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Harvey.
Oh, that'll brighten my cape up a bit. It's looking kind of bald, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You're not looking too bright yourself, my dear. It's these examinations, sister. But here, will you let her come round the wards with me?
Of course. Off you go, nurse.
Thank you, sister.
It'll do you good.
When the snow round about, deep and crisp and even, brightly shone the moonlit night, though the frost was cruel. When an old man came in sight, gathering winter fuel.
Happy Christmas! Happy Christmas! Merry Christmas, everybody! Merry Christmas, Harry.
Merry Christmas.
Jim. Merry Christmas, Mr.
Forceps, sir.
Quite. Sterilized, I hope?
Quite.
A Merry Christmas, sister.
A Merry Christmas, Mr. Harvey.
And to you, Fane. Man, but you've got a tough patient there, eh?
I dread this operation. I'd rather do 10 appendicectomies.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, Sir Marshal.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Nurse Clark. Still here. You surprised me. No regrets.
No regrets.
Surprised me even more.
What are you doing here today?
Operating? I always come here at Christmas, my dear. It's almost a tradition that the surgeon should carve the turkey. Makes a change.
Hey, nurse.
Yes, Mr. Harvey?
Come on, my stocking's empty. Merry Christmas, Willie. Thank you, dear.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, George.
Thank you, Doctor. Merry Christmas, nurse.
Happy Christmas, George. Leg better?
Oh, yes, thanks. You back with us again?
No, I'm afraid not. Is Mr. Raines... Has he gone?
No, he was here. He's much better now, you know. He's up and walking about.
Sister Catley!
Yes, Mr. Harvey.
Come here, will you?
Yes, sir.
Do you see what I see?
Mr. Harvey! Really, sister? And in your cuffs?
No cuffs. You can't barge into a private room as if it was a ward, you know.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Hello there! Merry Christmas! Happy Christmas!
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas!
Happy Christmas.
Same to you, nurse. Oh, how nice to see you again.
Yes, isn't it? Happy Christmas, nurse.
Happy Christmas, Mr. Raines. Are you better?
Yes, thank you. I leave here in a day or two.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yes, I'm sure you are.
I mean...
Well, don't let it keep you. We both know how important your work is.
I know. Nurse Clark has found out she's just a lassie, after all.
Mr. Harvey...
It hurts, eh? You'll get over it.
I didn't know doctors ever noticed what nurses were feeling.
Such nonsense. Off with you.
What's the matter with me? I'm not usually rude to other people like that. It's just that there's something...
That made you fall in love with her?
Pam, have you forgotten that you and I are going to be married?
I don't think so. Well, you don't love me.
But Pam,
No, not truly. You're just putting on the most wonderful act, and I've been doing the same thing. But I've known all along that you don't really care for me at all.
Pam, that's absurd.
Oh, no, it's not. You know it. You're in love with her. I've known about it for a long time. Whenever I let myself think about it, I see your face that day. The day she came to the factory. Oh, I've been dishonest, making you stick to me, playing on your sympathy. But I don't need it anymore. I shall have my violin again. Well, I'm really just another career woman. I've got my work. And in a few months... Look, I'm no worse off than I was before. Better, perhaps. You know, you can't lie here in a place like this for weeks without doing an awful lot of thinking. Sort of stock-taking. And a great deal has happened to me since I've been here.
I know all that, Pam, but it's just a lot of nonsense. I mean, you're talking as if I were trying to back out.
You should want to. This whole thing doesn't make any sense, Larry, and you know it.
Now, listen, Pam, I asked you to marry me.
And I'm not going to.
Oh. Well, I thought I could make you happy.
Your being in love with someone else isn't going to help much.
I'm not in love with anyone else.
No?
No. It's just part of your imagination.
Sure?
Yes. All right. Well, what do you want me to say?
Let me see. You say, Pamela, let's be friends. And I'll reply, I'll be a sister to you, Larry.
Dear. Pam.
Now, you run along and ask her to marry you.
She doesn't want me, Pam. She wants to be a nurse. Oh, well, I'll be going back to work in a day or two. I've got my work, too.
Well, good luck, Larry.
Goodbye, Pam.
Ginger Watkins said the costume was ever so chic. The man told her that the fur collar was genuine leather, and she said she thought it looked like rabbit.
Hillary, I want you to be the first to know. I'm going to be married. Oh, Christine, I'm so glad. Does that mean you're leaving here? Yes. You see, I've been thinking about getting old. When I retire, finished, with very little money saved up, and any chances of marriage gone for good. I don't think I have the moral courage to face that future. When will you go? As soon as I've made my wedding dress. Made? Why, of course. I've made all sorts of things for my trousseau.
Nurse Morris, Matron wants to see you.
Do you know what for?
Not the foggiest.
Very well. Come along and wait for me. Then I'll show you what I've made for my bottom drawer.
Oh, that'll be Nurse Morris.
Oh. May I? Merry Christmas, sister.
I don't.
I've sent for you, Nurse, to offer you the post of sister in this hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matron. I can't accept. I'm going to be married.
Oh, I'm very glad for your sake, of course. When do you want to leave?
Oh, I'll suit your convenience, Matron.
Thank you. With night sister leaving so soon, we're very short-staffed. I'd like you to take the post of sister until you leave.
Matron, I do want to say how grateful I am for this chance. I appreciate the honor very much.
There's just one thing. I wish you'd exercise a little more discipline. Try not to be so easygoing.
Yes, Matron. I'll do my best.
You'll start tomorrow, sister.
Sister. Thank you, Matron. I hardly know what to say. Hillary, I've just been made a sister.
Christine, I'm so glad. How wonderful for you. What a lovely wedding present.
Yes, isn't it?
Will you get
I hardly
married
believe
now?
it.
Sister, have you forgotten what I said about discipline?
Oh, I'm sorry, Matron. It was
Discipline? Christine's a friend of mine, and naturally I was congratulating
Hillary,
her.
don't, please.
It's absurd. If anyone's to blame, Matron, I am. But it's simply unfair.
You're placing a new sister in a very difficult position. She cannot be familiar with her juniors. It undermines her authority.
I never heard anything so absurd. What good do these petty regulations do? We're not children. We're responsible adults. We wouldn't be nurses if we weren't. You've got to love nursing to put up with
That
hospital
will do.
restrictions.
Will you come into my room? I want to talk to you. Thank you, sister. So you won't put up with our restrictions?
I think some of them are stupid.
In other words, you want to leave?
No, of course not. I'm willing to put up with anything.
There are some things I won't put up with.
Matron, I'm sorry I lost my temper
It
just
isn't
now.
only this incident. You seem unable to accept discipline and to conform to the ordinary etiquette of the hospital. I wondered when I took you whether at your age you'd be able to adjust yourself to this life. Obviously you can't. So I've no alternative but to recommend the Board of Governors to terminate your training. That's all.
Matron, please.
Close the door quietly.
This is a magnificent gift, Mr. Raines.
I owe my life for what it's worth to this hospital.
Not every grateful patient can afford to donate the magnificent sum of £11,000. We were financially embarrassed, most embarrassed.
Yes, indeed. We were wondering how to take our fences. I even began to think of selling some of my blood stock.
Do you mean say this hospital depends entirely on charity?
Certainly. We have a number of regular subscribers. And, of course, there are flag days and the annual bazaar.
And there is my hospital Sunday.
And sometimes people can be persuaded to leave us money after they die.
Surely you mean before.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Raines, ours is a voluntary hospital, and we regard it as our privilege to tender a helping hand to the poor and needy.
Well, then, how will my £11,000 be spent? As a businessman, I'm interested.
Well, we have a good many outstanding debts, amongst in the final payment for the new wing. And, of course, current expenses.
Will the nurses benefit at all? From what I've noticed, there's room for improvement.
But you must realize that equipment for the patient's benefit must come first, which means that the staff will still have to wait. And although your £11,000 is a magnificent gift, it's really only a drop in the ocean.
Well, it's a very welcome drop, Mr. Raines.
So the nurses seem to be out of luck.
Mr. Chairman, whilst we're on the subject of nurses, I see by the agenda that my protégé, Nurse Clark, has been up to no good. As she is a protégée of mine, I wonder if I might request that we should see her now.
Oh, certainly, certainly. Matron, I wonder, could you...
Yes, of course. She's waiting in my room.
Oh, well, Mr. Purvis, perhaps you would...
Yes, sir.
Would you...
Nurse Clark, the board will see you now.
Nurse Clark, it's reported that your general conduct has been far from satisfactory. The matron recommends your dismissal. Have you anything to say, nurse?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, you have. You consider this report unjust?
No, sir.
What does she mean? Please explain yourself.
I didn't realize before how impossible things would be for matron if all the nurses were like me, each trying to make her own rules. I should like to be given another chance.
If I may butt in, sir. Tell us, matron, is Nurse Clark a good nurse?
She had the makings of a good nurse.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Nurse Clark a question? Nurse Clark, when you first came here, you found the work, shall we say, tiring?
Yes, sir, very.
But you stuck it.
Yes, sir, of course.
Ah, a truly Christian spirit.
Oh, quite.
With your permission. You were prepared to give up everything to become a nurse, weren't you?
Yes, I was. And still am. Prepared to give up everything I value most. I'm prepared to give up my personal freedom and live hemmed in by petty restrictions. I'm even prepared to renounce my right as a woman to a home and children of my own, because the demands of this profession leave no time for any personal life. I'm prepared to submit to all this because I count it a privilege to be allowed to devote my life to nursing. That's why I'm grateful to you for giving me this opportunity to state my case. And why I beg you to let me stay on here, no matter what the conditions. But are those conditions inevitable? They're not merely the result of wartime measures, because it's always been like this. And there's always been a shortage of nurses. I don't believe they're inevitable. And because I care so much, I urge you to agitate for their improvement. I implore you, start a reform, a complete reform. Because if you do, hospitals need never be understaffed again.
Yes, well, thank you, nurse. Well, now, if you wouldn't mind waiting, Mr. Purvis, would you... Oh, thank you, Mr. Raines.
I seem to remember her father was a remarkable speaker.
Oh, no, friend, be fair. I'm positive she was sincere.
I hope I didn't suggest that I thought otherwise.
Well, I think there's something in what she says.
Yes, there are two sides to every question. Now, Mr. Chairman, it's up to you.
Well, yes, but I think...
Well, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's rather difficult.
It's not difficult at all. It's up to you to do something about it. Or are you all going to sit there smugly, knowing things are wrong, and everybody passing the buck onto somebody else? You know, it seems to me high time that the public ought to force the government to make the necessary reforms and to find the money to do it. It's up to us to start it going. In fact, I'm going to start now. Good morning. Well, that's that.
What's what?
Well, there's nothing to stop us now.
Oh, what about Pamela?
Oh, that's all over. She's no fool. She knew all about us.
And what about me?
You're fired. You're going to be my wife.
I'm not fired yet.
It's all very well for the lass to talk like that, but she's older than most of them. It's mostly girls of 19 to 20 being taught to deal with life and death. You must have rules, and you can't just ignore them when they seem a bit of a nuisance.
And it's all very well for Mr. What's-his-name to talk like that. That's the worst of relying on charity. People give you their money and think they can say what they like to. Government doing nothing, indeed. Every possible improvement under consideration. The hours I've spent on that Hoarder Committee.
Aye, and there's the Rushcliffe reforms. They're getting better pay and better conditions already. And better conditions mean more nurses, and that means less overwork.
After all, nothing in this world's perfect. And it won't do us any harm to be told we could be better.
Another excellent Christian sentiment. Now, what are we going to do about my protégé?
May I suggest to the members of the board that you leave the matter entirely in my hands?
Oh, well, that's splendid. Well, That settles it. Unless there's anything else on the agenda?
Well, the drains in the left wing.
Oh, well, we've £11,000.
She's got to take me back.
And if she doesn't?
Well, then I'll marry you now.
And if she does take you back?
Well, then we'll have to wait until they change conditions. That is, if you still want me.
You know I'd always want you. Listen, Hilary, I'll fight for everything you want outside the...
Oh, nurse, I want to speak to you in my room. Good night, Mr. Raymond.
Right. Wait a minute. I think you're going to fail in there. But if you don't, I'll do my damnedest to get those reforms for you. One day you're going to have a job and a home.
Larry.
Nurse Clark, I admit that I rather admired your spirit just now in the boardroom. I think you realize that a hospital is like a ship. It can only have one captain, and it must be run with rigid discipline. Are you quite sure you can accept that discipline?
I was never more sure of anything in my life.
You're determined, aren't you? I was like that at your age. Things being as they are, it's a difficult decision for a woman to take, to dedicate herself to a life of service. There are times when one's full of fears and regrets, but not for long. One's only to look round a place like this and see what's being achieved, to realize that it's worth it, more than worth it. You'll be interested to hear that the examination results are out. You come very near the head of the list. You are now entitled to wear one stripe.
Then I can stay?
Yes, you may stay. We need good nurses.
Thank you, matron.
Now go along and report for duty.
Yes, matron.
All right. Don't tell me.
Oh, Larry.